It's time for the B-A-Q-A-A, the B-A-Q-A. What you say? The B-A-Q-A with Mandi, the B-A-Q-A with Tiffany, the B-A-Q-A-A. Hey, Andra.
Hi, gorgeous.
Well, first of all, if you have questions, we might have some answers, but we are not your doctor, your attorney, your financial advisor. We're just your friend. So you're going to take what we say with the smallest grain of salt, and you're going to lean into the people that you pay, aka sue your granny, not us. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
got that out of the way. We're doing money questions this week.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. And what do people have questions? Where can they ask them?
Oh, thank you for queuing up that for me. So you can go to Brown Ambition Podcast on Instagram. We are at Brown Ambition. What are words? We're at Brown Ambition Podcast on Instagram. And then you can email us brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com with your questions. And if you have a follow-up, what would be really amazing is if you could remind us what was your first question, because Instagram doesn't make it super easy for us to go back. And
even if you could, like, it would be great if you were like in episode, because we have them numbered in episode 45. You know, it's named.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
tell us what episode your question was in.
So that way we can go back and be like, oh, that's right. That's right.
Smart.
Okay.
Very smart. But yeah, should we dive into some questions?
Sure. You want me to read the first one?
Allow me.
Okay.
You'll be doing a lot of talking. All right, Tiffany. Our first question is from someone who wants to be called a mama trying to do it all. Okay. She spelled your name in a hilarious fashion. Hey, Mandi and Tiff, T-I-P-H.
Girl.
I've never seen that.
You're giving me a lot right here. Just 2 F's is fine.
Tiff, thanks for all your wise words and always being my peace when I'm feeling stressed. As a mom with a 2-year-old, I love putting on your podcast and listening throughout the day in the background. I'm 34 and I love my job, and I've been there for over 10 years. I work full time. I have work from home flexibility, and I'm debt free. I have over $200,000 in my 401k and an 815 credit score. Is this a question or like your dating profile?
Girl, because I do.
Also, she won't need one because the next sentence says, my husband and I took opposite routes in life. He went the education route and is building his career. Right now, he works part-time, but he's a huge help with childcare. He's also debt-free, except for student loans. Despite him working part-time, we have still managed to save around $45,000. Amazing. What do we do with that savings? Do we leave it? Or do we buy our first house? We're in California and prices are absolutely crazy. We looked at a few homes, but realized that our mortgage would be more than double from what we currently pay in rent. I'm hesitant with my husband's income right now, but also our 2-year-old will be starting pre-K soon. And although that may be an extra expense, that would allow my husband to work. Although that would be an extra expense, it also allow my husband to work more to increase our finances. If we don't purchase a home and continue to save, should I put the money in a high-yield savings account? Thanks for your suggestions.
A mama trying to do it all. Well, first we want to acknowledge, girl, you're doing the damn thing with the money that you have for your 401k, your credit score, the fact that you're both debt-free, even though your husband has student loans, and you still manage with the child to save $45,000. Girl, do you want to host a podcast? Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to give you your accolades. So let's break it down. Okay. So to me, homeownership is not always the answer for all the girls. And so purchasing a home certainly, can positively affect your finances, but it has to make financial sense. And paying double what you pay now in rent might not, although the likelihood is that your home is going to appreciate in value because you're in California still, but you're probably going to erode whatever that was because you would pay so much more as it relates to your mortgage and taxes and things like that. So I think home ownership, if you are looking at California, might be something that you would pause for now. So that's probably what I'd be thinking. 2, I'd be looking at this I'm assuming this $45,000 is your emergency savings. How many months is this? Is it, 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it a year of emergency savings?
Speaking from experience, that's probably like a good 3-4 months.
That's what I was thinking. It was giving,
which sounds insane, but in California with a family,
yes, it's giving
$10K a month at least.
Yeah, it's giving about 3 or 4 months worth of, which is good. which I mean, if it was me, 3 or 4 months, it's emergency savings is like a safety belt. It's not meant to be cute. It's just meant to sustain. And so I probably would put that either in a CD, like a rollover CD that has no fee, no early withdrawal fees, or I would put it in a high yield savings account, as you suggested, because that money is meant to be accessible in case something does happen. So that's my first initial piece of advice, and I'm gonna let Mandy tap in.
I was just wondering what rates are like on savings accounts these days. Let's see. For like an online account, 4.5% APY or higher. I mean, that sounds pretty damn good these days. I'm curious, you said a CD, but CDs will lock up your money for a certain period of time, like at least 6 months, right?
No, not necessarily. The only reason why it's fresh in my mind is because literally for business, I had my bank. I was like, girl, we have 6 months of emergency savings for the business. And I said, it's just sitting here. What can we do? And they mentioned they had a
Oh,
2 month CD. And I said, oh, so what I'd like to do, so we have 6 months saved. So I said, well, what if we put 4 month in the 2 month CD, leaving 2 months free? So if something happens, we have the 2 months available. And then at 4 months, by the time it's available, if something's happened, we're ready to use it because we let out 2 months. So some CDs are 2 months, 3 months. And so it's something to just consider. Sometimes because you're willing to lock your money down, even just a little bit, you can generate more than just a regular high yield savings account, something to look into. So they do definitely sometimes have CDs for shorter periods of time. So if there is a 2 month CD that maybe gives you, say, like, I don't know, 4.75%, and you have 4 months worth of emergency savings, maybe you keep two in a high yield savings account, two in the CD, and let it continue to roll over, like as needed. And so that's just something to consider. So you can make a little bit more money with your money, if that makes sense. That's just bank to bank. So question, what do we do with this? Do we buy our first house? I probably would pause. And then what do we kind of do with this money? I probably would do what you kind of suggested for yourself. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing is, especially, you guys are at this great age where it's like, you've made these choices that are really aligned. The really important thing is to ask yourself, what's my desired outcome for our money? Like, do we want to be homeowners? Do we want to move back home with, and be by our parents, who live in Wisconsin? I'm just making this up. Do we want to be millionaires by 40? That it's going to be really, really, really important for you to determine, what do we want the next 5, 10 plus years to look like? Because that will dictate what you do with your money. So I sit down with your husband and say, okay, in 5 years, this is what I'd like. Maybe you write it down, he writes it down, and you guys look at it together so you can tell your money what to do so you can reach that desired outcome. I think that's really where you are right now. Put your money, in a high yield savings account or a CD, sit down with your hubby and say, here's where we'd like to be in the next 5 years and then 10 years, and then make your choices based upon that.
Yeah, I would just add, it sounds like, because I'm in the same predicament, the more childcare I have, the more expensive it is, right? But the more capable you are then of like creating more income for yourself. And like you mentioned, paying for pre-K, which I think is a tragedy. Like, why is universal pre-K
it's free?
not?
Is it? Do you have to pay for pre-K in New York? Because it's free in New Jersey.
Up in New York City, there is universal 3K, pre-K, so like for threes and up.
Yeah.
In where I live, in our school district, we got very lucky that the year that Rio was pre-K eligible, they introduced the first UPK program in our school district. We were like the last ones, and even then, it's only from like 9 to 2, and then you pay for the extended care or the the extended care before school and the extended care after school. But it's still like, I think with all of that, we still pay about $500 or $600 a month, but certainly a lot less than the $3,000 we were shelling out before. And it's just insane.
I didn't realize that it wasn't, because New Jersey, they started the Abbott program years and years ago when I was a teacher. So like over 15 years ago. And then I guess, I don't know if somebody sued, that was name was Abbott, saying like, hey, I don't know if it's, let me not say New Jersey, let me say Newark, because I don't know. For y'all to come to fight me, but in Newark, I believe that there was this Abbott lawsuit saying that like children in Newark and maybe Essex County didn't have access to proper education at a certain age. So anyway, they made preschool into public school, basically, essentially, where 3 and 4-year-olds are considered like going to public school. So it is the full, 7 to 3 or whatever day. And then you can, of course, there's after school. But yeah, I just took it for granted that like, that's right. I forgot that many places you still pay until your kid gets, sometimes even kindergarten is half day, certain places.
I mean, 9 to 2 might as well be a half day.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
like, what am I supposed to do with that? 5 hours? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So my heart just goes out to you in that regard.
Yeah.
But, letting your husband, I will say, like, it is nice to have the parent there to help with the childcare and all of that. But your husband's building his career. He needs to go fulfill his dream too. And so I think investing in that childcare, even if it means like, let's keep more money in the bank. Now, like that is still like, you don't know what will happen in the future in terms of like home prices and things like that. But I feel like right in front of you, it just makes the most sense to keep that money set aside for your, for your family's emergency funds. Your husband can like continue building his career and you guys can do it without a ton of pressure on that funding. And certainly wouldn't want you to like put all that money into like, would that even be enough for a down payment? And some like, probably not. Like, it just seems like earmarking that for emergency savings is great. And then building on that for your long-term savings so you can buy a house.
Yeah.
Sounds good. On your own time.
Yes.
On your own time. Tiff, you want to read this one from Natasha from Instagram?
Yes. Is it? Oh, Natasha. Okay.
139.
Yes. Okay. Good morning, first and foremost. I'd like to say how much I enjoy your podcast. Well, we enjoy you, Natasha.
Oh, thank you.
Tasha says, can I call you Tasha? My question is how to unlock the next budget-friendly step in my financial journey. I have a good foundation on various topics and would like to invest with education and purpose, but the experts I've researched require at least $10,000 for their program. In my world, we call that high-ticket item, okay? And looking for ways to get into real estate, the coaches are charging at least $15,000 for their services. I do have monthly income of about $500 to put toward these products, but certainly not thousands of dollars. I've cleared all my debt. Go ahead, girl. Invest about $50 via Robinhood. I'm also a 7-year homeowner. How can I elevate while on a budget? Okay. How do you feel, Mandy, about like the high ticket item coaches in general?
Well, here's the thing. I think that when you are looking for education on something like real estate and you just do a search online, the first thing you're going to see, I think, are a lot of these really high ticket paid courses and things like that, which can make you feel like, oh, that must be what I need in order to do this. But I guarantee you, if you look at how this real estate coach got their start, it wasn't through investing $15K in a coach. They probably did a lot of education and, self-education, self-taught first, and looking at mentors and books. People forget about books. Going to the library is a wonderful, very simple thing to do and a way to educate yourself. I surely wouldn't spend that much money unless I had really good evidence that it was going to, result in the goal that I wanted. And when it comes to real estate, I don't know how you could promise someone that they would be a real estate investor and make, a good return on their investment afterward. Like, that's really hard to promise. So I'm not saying that they wouldn't be worth it, but I would just say, like, before you get there, like, do some base level education and, find out what kind of real estate investor do you want to be? Are you someone who wants to be a landlord, or does being a landlord seem like way too much trouble for you? So are you looking to maybe, invest in a property and then flip it and sell it? Those are completely different approaches. Do you want to have an Airbnb property where someone else manages the property for you and you don't have to do like the day-to-day stuff? Maybe you are more hands-on. Like, there's a lot. And if you can't afford it, that's almost the first answer. It's like, if you can't afford it, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
There's other lower ticket ways of educating yourself.
And so I'll say that, so one of my friends, her name is Christina Aguilera, like not the singer, Christina with a K. Shout out to
Wait, really?
Yeah, I know. I think,
that poor lady.
I know. So Christina with a K. So Christina lives in St. Louis. I don't know if she still lives there, but So, I mean, she's like slaying it now when it comes to real estate. And she's talked about how, as a matter of fact, you should probably follow her. It's Christina with a K. I think she's on IG as Christina Aguilera with a K. So she talks about how, I want to say she maxed out her credit cards, $80,000 doing what you're trying to do now when she first started. She was like, girl, if only, yes. She said, if only you knew how much, like,
man.
But that was many, many years ago. And she was like, knowing what she knows now, to Mandy's point, I've heard her say she would have started slower because she, there are certainly courses and people that are going to be worth that amount of money. But for you, it's you are playing Russian roulette that you think that you're going to pick them out right away. Because what will happen is that if you start like, to Mandy's point with like, oh, you know, they have YouTube channels and, you know, there are books, and you will start to really get through the grapevine who are the people that really know the thing. So one of the things that Christina did, she had visited me in Newark a few years back. And what I thought was so great, she said there was these Facebook groups of like budding and deeper real estate investors. And they had these Facebook groups and they would do meetups, which I thought that was so great.
I've heard this too.
Yeah, and it was totally free. She just joined a Facebook group and they'd be like, oh, we're going to be in Elizabeth at such and such, you know, restaurant, like, you know, getting some drinks. And I just love that because there at those meetups, they were, you know, talking the type of real estate investing Christina does typically is she purchases a property, she renovates, and then she either sells or rents it out. So they were in New Jersey talking about, you know, what contractors that, oh, don't use him. And this is who we use for. So it was, and that didn't cost anything. You know, I was able to just go. And I thought it was fascinating because I told her I was kind of maybe interested in investing in real estate. She was like, girl, before you spend any money, come to these meetups to ask these questions. So you know, I just share Mandy's sentiment that it doesn't mean that sometimes we don't have to spend money to take ourselves to the next level. But I don't believe in starting there, you know, because the likelihood that you'll actually pick the person where you're going to get a return on investment is not very likely. It is better to exhaust all the free options and then the lower tier, and then you can grow, you know, because typically if you are going to work with a coach that costs a lot of money, I need to see a direct return. So, for example, the most expensive coach I ever used, and it was expensive. I don't know if I'd ever do this again. It was $35,000 a month. And it wasn't for this one coach. Yes, this one coach that coached myself and my co-founder, but he also had a financial coach come coach my financial team, a marketing coach to coach my marketing team, an HR coach. So he came with a team of coaches that coached all of my teams, you know? So you got for $35,000 a month, I'm sorry. That's what you got. But it was excellent because our first year working with him, we went from, I don't know, maybe $4 or $5 million that year to $10 million that year. So, you know, because what is 35,000 many times 12 months? So don't get to me to lying.
A lot of money.
$35,000 times 12 months.
3 times 12 is 36, $360,000 or something.
Yeah. So it was a lot. But like I said, the investment was $360,000, but I could, at the time, business
$420,000. First of all, that is such an unfair math question to just ask someone. What makes you think I know how to calculate 12 times 35?
But for us, it was worth it
on the spot. Like I'm the calculator
because he doubled our revenue from like 4 or 5 million to like 10 million. But do you see? So it's like we paid basically $500,000 to make 5 or 6 million. So, but that is not the only way I could have gotten there. Is one, we were already a profitable company. Many years in business. And I vetted him because if I was going to spend that kind of money, I wanted to know, did you use him? Did you use it? So do you see what I mean? I could not have made that bet early on in my career, you know? So I'm just saying all that to say that I believe in coaching. I'm not mad that if a really good coach charges a lot of money because they've been vetted, but it's not a place to start, you know, not when there's so many free resources where you can lean in and exhaust those places first.
Yeah, I will double, triple endorse what Tiffany just said because I have a couple of my, in my community, Mandi Money Makers have said that they have used like local real estate Facebook groups and local is really important, like you said, because you understand like real estate in every city, county, state has like different rules, different, of course, like different markets. There's like the mini markets within the market, within the national market. And so, I just love that. And I feel like that's a perfect place to start is just like go sit at a table with other people doing what you want to do and just be a sponge. and soak that up.
And put it to work. Because people be like, they buy the thing, girl, you didn't even start. You learn the thing.
I know, it feels like you've done something.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me nuts if I see someone just buy my my professional branding course and then not like complete the modules.
Yes.
I'm just like, can I creepily email them and be like, what are you doing?
Girl, you paid us money.
I made it for you to use. Yeah.
Well,
I get that.
We hope those questions helped you. If they did, tell a friend, share this epi. Okay. If you have questions, go ahead on over to brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email, or Brown Ambition Podcast on Insta. You can follow us there, slide into our DMs, or brownambitionpodcast.com. We have a contact me button that you can ask questions there as well. Okay?
Okay. Easy peasy.
Until next
week. All right,
week.
BA fam. Don't forget, we're on 3 days a week now. Get your episodes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. Hey, BA fam. We're on YouTube. Woohoo! Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
And while you're at it, why don't you go over to that little bell icon and just tap that for us. Show the BA fam how much you love us. And that way you'll also get notifications when new videos drop. Also, share the channel with a friend. We're always like, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And thank y'all so much again for all the support.